Hi, welcome back to Dow Twang. I'm Dave. So, if you've been watching any of those videos over on YouTube this week, the last going back about a week, this 14-day challenge thing. Last week I put the intro to it, or the first one, up here as on your side as well, and it it's a lot for me. This is there's only 14 days of it. So, every day or every other day, I'm getting one out, and it's cool. I've gotten a lot of engagement and new folks interested in the channel on YouTube because of it. So, worth doing on my end. I don't want to neglect anything over here. And last week we used the first one of that series. On here, I kind of wrote you a thing, sort of, not meaning to be apologetic, but cool. If let's let this one be the one for this week. Well, yesterday I put out one. It was the sixth installment in that 14-day thing, and we used a backing track and really consolidated some of the stuff that we've done so far on there. Many of you have probably seen it. But that backing track, I've been jamming with that now this is like the second day of really, when I have time, jamming with that. And I make a lot of backing tracks and loops and things. But if I like one, I use it for my own, veg out time too, right? I don't just use it for the channel. Like, this is how I teach myself and part of the whole process of like doing all of this. And other times I just play along with YouTube videos and, records and, whatever. But I thought that some of the stuff that we didn't get to that I think is really useful and fun, that this backing track kind of serves as a good backdrop for these other skills. Some of them might get included in some of the upcoming things with the challenge on YouTube, and some of them might not. This is kind of more just for you all. But let's use it to look at phrasing and also adding sevenths to triads. Okay. Probably am going to talk about that a little bit in one of the upcoming videos in this series, but it's just a little bit different over here. It's weird. It's like I feel like I know you all in a different way or something. Like when I turn the camera on to do the Patreon thing, it's like a different group of people or something. I don't know. It's maybe because it's just more. There's not as many of us, so I don't feel as driven to like make it as universal or something, right? In a way, I'm kind of more relaxed doing it. It's interesting. So let's look at this backing track. The game plan is to talk about phrasing and use this as a demonstration for that. And then we'll get to this adding sevenths to these triads and making like kind of an arpeggio routine for this. So let's get it going here. Here's the backing track. It starts on E minor. Okay. Now, I'm going to stay right in this little area here of minor pentatonic. Okay, so just to kind of get us primed here. There's kind of it's traversing three of the shapes for pentatonic, right? The first three, right? There's that. I don't even know the numbers of the shapes. I have to. It's like, looking at a clock or something. But I still have to like count back and say like that's number three. You know what they are if you know them, and that has more meaning for you. But you see what I'm saying? There's those three columns, and then but usually when we're playing, I mentioned this in the video on YouTube yesterday, is we play in more of a lateral. I just love that region right there. So there's just a little kind of mapping of most of the stuff that we're going to do. And then we'll probably go up here and just do some good old shape one. I know that one. I know which one. I know what to call that one. So the phrasing thing. Now, part of this is just serendipity because like when I start the videos, a lot of times the audio has to start rolling and then I start playing, right? So a lot of times I go, oh, I missed it. So see there, I'm aiming for like the first change, like it starts. When it goes to that A, that's kind of like the first target of a downbeat, right? I'm slipping it in after the downbeat of the first chord. It looks like I'm going back to the E there, but we're on A, so I play the root of A, but then the fifth of A too just happens to also be the root for the E, right? The magic of pentatonic, man. Just everything there's so much nice overlapping, and the it doesn't sound redundant. It's like it's just you play the same notes over and let the chords change behind you, right? A perfect way to demonstrate this phrasing stuff because we don't have to really use a lot of processing power about the notes we're playing. Right in there. All right. So not going to get into all the other isms and asms so much, but that just whatever's comfortable for you in there. So we could go. Hammered that A, that's where it changed to A. Now, let me put this back on, and there's a kind of a two phrasing version of what I'm doing in that intro and a three phrase version of it. And let's look at that. And this might really help you kind of chunk out your own way of going about this stuff. One. That's two phrases for the whole thing. Give that a try in your own way. Now another one. Right. So if we relate it to sentences, I'm saying one thing right here, and then I follow it there. Don't even need all the extra notes in you like them, put them in there. Oh, now see, that was before the downbeat of it starting over. So it kind of blended with with the second statement that I made previously, right? It was sort of like, look at that as, to me, it's part of the lick that's coming, right? It's not really, it's I've already kind of closed it. I've already kind of put a comma or a period there. Sometimes it's more connected, right? So notice what I didn't include in the setting us up to say what was about to happen here. I said 2 phrases or 3 phrases. What I didn't say was 1 phrase. You could conceivably play 1 phrase that goes over that entire line of chord changes. But perhaps this is what is important for a lot of folks out there, is that's not, we don't speak that way. We don't communicate that way. We don't dance that way. Well, there's always that one individual at the bar that doesn't put any punctuation in the dance. Well, whatever. Do your own thing, right? It gives you something to, it gives you something to do. If you're not dancing, you can watch the others. And but right, we don't really want to think of it as one continuous thing. Our playing isn't really like that. So we did some 2 stuff. Now let's look at some 3 stuff. 3 phrases. Okay, so one thing that happened in all of those examples was that I started before the downbeat. There was a pickup, leading into the song, to the ba ba da da boom, doodle da ba boom, when it goes to that A. Okay, so there's space created there, and when you're going around the progression repetitively, that space is still there, right? But hopefully that makes sense. It's not about, tabbing this out and like having you sit there and count and make sure you're coming in on the and of whatever. And don't worry about that with something like this. This is a very intuitive style of rock blues playing. All right, now a little bit of work on this, extending these triads up to include a 7th. And this is going to rely more on your working than mine. Okay? It wouldn't do you any good for me to work harder on this than you. All right, so I'm just going to set you up. You're going to have to do some exploration, but it'll really pay off. You're going to have to trust your ear. So we're just going to go chord by chord. E minor. Okay, bunch of E minors. Notice every time I'm starting on the root. Okay. All right. If you're not familiar with those, then you've got work to do right there. Just you've got a minor triad is a root to a flat 3rd, and then the next note is a perfect 5th from the root. Okay, that's all you need to know about a minor triad. It doesn't matter if it fits into the other parts of the matrix and all of that. Just that's it. That's the definition of it. And for every one of these roots, you can use either a major triad or a minor one. That happens to be the only minor one. Then when it goes to the A, it's a major. So it's root, major third, and the fifth is a perfect fifth again. Same thing for the C and the D. Okay? There's some phrasing just within that, right? Because if I do just one for the C and the D, but then I kind of expand it and do a couple of octaves for the E, in a really rote sort of, mechanical way, that's like a routine, right? It just, because it's just dictated by the structure of the timing of the progression itself, right? Don't overthink it, right? It's all kind of already right there for you. So it's a little bit different than the blues licks and stuff in terms of phrasing, but the two things aren't necessarily going to be rehearsed at the same time. This is kind of the second topic of the day. So we want to add a seventh to these. Now, we could do this, the pen and paper way. We could say, well, okay, we just said a minor triad is a root, flat third, and a perfect fifth. And a minor 7 chord, we're going to add a flat 7 to that. You can write that down, right? You've got a piece of paper like you ought to be frank, in front of you. Root, flat third, fifth, flat 7, okay? The minor 7 chord. So D is the flat 7 for E. Remember, the flat 7 refers to the distance from the root if we're talking intervals. That's it. Yep. Next chord, right? Doesn't mean that you're going to have all this stuff under your fingers right this moment. I don't mean to. It's not about making it sound like this should be easy for you, and just really gonna start emphasizing and reminding everybody about the not overthinking on this stuff. Okay, because there's so many angles now going on online with how to perceive this stuff. It's actually getting people are just getting absolutely confused by the amount of elaborate presentations about this stuff. That's all there is to a minor 7 arpeggio. Okay, A. There's our triad, major triad. Here's the ear part. You put that backing track on. I'm going to try. We have two options for the minor. You go ahead and we already wrote it down. Flat 7 every time. There are exceptions, but not in this style of music. So let's put this on, and we're going to audition a major 7 for the A and a flat 7 for the A. So I'll play an E minor 7. Uh-oh. Okay. Let's try the other one. That was the major 7. Being rewarded instantly, right? That felt good after that first tragic use of the major 7. Okay, so the interval again is from the root, the distance from the root to the note that we're talking about, right? So in a major 7, it's it's 1 degree down. You can think of it this way if you like, from the next octave. That's the flat 7. Clearly, if we're writing down this progression now and making it a progression of 7th chords, our first two need to be E minor 7 and then A7, not A major 7. Okay? Same business for the C and the D. Now, we got to act quick on these because they go by quicker. All right, just to keep it real, let's try the other one. That was the major 7. That almost sounded like that trombone thing on Price is Right or whatever. That's no good. Okay? You're done. You're done. Write it down if you want. C7 for that one, right? Or I'm sorry, C major 7. C major 7. Right? I got confused there. We want the major 7. Okay. I'm not going to edit that out because, you know, it's not going to throw you off, right? It can't because you're using your ear, not what I say or the diagram says or whatever, right? So now we're checking out the D, the last one. Sometimes it's not as awful. Hear how this one you've got to really check it out with your ear. Didn't sound awful with the major 7, right? But let's try it like off to the side. We're going to want that one to be dominant, a flat 7. So now we're writing down our progression as 7th chords: E minor 7, A7, C major 7, D7. Okay? And that's it. Now when I play that without the backing track, you hear more of the structure of the song itself, even though we're not playing chords, with the notes in harmony, right? Okay, that's all there is to that part today. And you can do that on just about any tune, right? Sometimes there's chords that are altered or there's something that's more than just, that simplified version of extending the triads like we just did. The point here today, sorry, the dog is, for some reason, is trying to gain entrance to the door, and she's not being very nice about it. Your ear will know, right? Get in the habit of just checking this out. And you know what? Calling some of you all out. Some of you, we've been talking. Quit hiding from the 7s. I'm telling you, you're gonna love it once you just, remember, that it's just like the triads. It's not that complicated. And some of you are saying, well, we should know that because now I can see that this is like 4, 5, 6 chord in the key of G or E minor, but that one doesn't conform to that diatonic key analysis, does it? Right? So if anybody has anything to say about that, please put it in the comments and let us know what you're thinking about that. But what we did is we went around and snuck up on it the other way by listening, right? By making it musical. And then you can go back and kind of compare it to the theoretical, definitions or basis for it. But it's not validated by the theory. It's validated by the sound, and it should come to you pretty clearly once you get used to trusting that for yourself. All right, well, this one came out a little bit longer than I thought today. Appreciate all of you. Let me know how it's going for you, okay? I'll see you next time.